The addition of the optional inventory module to CenterPoint allows a user to set up both sales items and inventory items for the items that they want to include on a customer invoice. The types of items that are available with the inventory module in CenterPoint are service items with labor cost, non-tracked items, inventory items, serialized items, lotted items. This video will concentrate on the setup of lotted items. The difference between a serialized item and a lotted item is that serialized inventory is used most often when tracking small quantity big ticket items such as automobiles, boats, jewelry, and so on. Each item is assigned a unique serial number. It is important that the order maintenance process be able to track the serial number and save it to sales history for possible recall once it's invoiced. With a lotted inventory, it's more often used where government mandates the keeping records of the lot number in the product. This is especially important when selling food or other perishable items such as chemicals. It is common to track the expiration dates of the lotted inventory. So the first step in creating lotted inventory is to create that lotted inventory definition. And the lotted inventory that we're going to create is actually a food item. So we're going to create the lot definition by going ahead and going to Setup and going to Inventory and then going to Lotted and Serialized Inventory Definitions. We already have a serial definition for a bike serial numbers, but we need to set up a lot for different protein bars that we sell. So I'm going to go ahead and click New, and we're going to use this lot for protein bars. Okay, and we're going to set it up as a lotted type of inventory. So you can see you can choose from either lotted or serialized. Okay, so one of the first thing we want is of course we want to track the lot number for it, but we might also want to track other information about it, such as I need to track an expiration date, and that's very common with a lot that you would have an expiration date that you're trying to track. Okay, and then these protein bars come in multiple flavors. So I'm going to also go ahead and put in text there, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the flavor for that. And those are the different pieces of information that we want to track about our lots. Okay, now over here on the right-hand side, you can see right here is it's building information about that lot. So with each lot that we create, we're going to have to put in an expiration number or expiration date and a flavor. Okay, then over here is a checkbox that lets us tell the system whether or not additional purchases can be added to the same lot. And it's not likely that we're going to add additional purchases to this same lot. Okay, if we purchase additional items, they'll likely have a different lot number and a different expiration number. So we're going to go ahead and click Save on that. Okay, and we'll go ahead and close out of that. Now to set up our lotted inventory item and use that lotted definition, we're going to go back over to Setup, into Inventory, and to go ahead and set up an inventory item. Okay, and we're going to click New here, and the lotted inventory item that I'm going to set up is called Dynamic Protein Bars. Okay, so we'll give it the name Dynamic Protein Bars. Okay, and if we wanted to, we could include some additional information down here about that item. So we can put that in there. We can also go ahead and then choose the, if we don't want any additional information to print on the invoice, then we could leave this description out of here, or we could add additional description when we go ahead and create the invoice. Okay, we're going to choose the type of inventory item this is, and this particular one is going to be a lotted item. Okay, we're going to also choose a sales group. Okay, and I have a sales group set up for food sales. Okay, now setting up a sales group will allow you to do a couple things. There's several reports that will allow you to group your item sales by sales group. And setting up a sales group also, I'm going to right click on this sales group to edit it. It also allows you to set up some default sales accounts, returns and allowances accounts, cost of goods accounts, and commissions on it. We're not using commissions, so my commissions is blank, but I have gone ahead and put in some of the accounting information so that each item that I create will have certain accounts default over here to the accounts tab for them. Okay, you could also choose the sales tax category. I have 3 sales tax categories here: food, general merchandise, and service. So I'm going to select food. There's a separate video in setting up sales tax categories, so you can preview that video. But if I edit my sales tax category, you can see that it's got these jurisdictions selected as the jurisdictions that will be calculated when we sell this item, as opposed to having all of the jurisdictions be selected. Okay, so there is a separate video on setting up those categories. You can choose the status of an item, whether it's current, discontinued, or obsolete. Usually when you're first setting up an item, it's usually going to be a current item. You can put in the weighting stock unit of measure. So we'll say that this is 4 ounces. So that's what we're going to go ahead and put in there. You could actually put that if you're saying that the weighting stock unit of measure is in pounds, you want to put everything in pounds, so then you could do the conversion to pounds. Okay, so whatever you feel you want the weighting stock unit to be there. This is helpful when it comes to packing and shipping the items. Okay, the commission, I'm actually going to make this be something else. I'm going to make this be 0.04 here. Okay, commissions would have come in from the sales group if I had selected the sales group, or I could select a commission separate. We're not going ahead and calculating commissions on this item, so we're going to leave it blank. Down here, you're going to mark whether or not it's a taxable item for those customers that are marked as taxable customers, and then whether or not you're going to allow trade discounts on the items. And then the trade discount is assigned to each customer as well. Some customers might get a trade discount and some customers might not. Okay, but this is just telling the system whether you're going to allow trade discounts on this item. If you have a picture and you want to go ahead and import a picture for this item, you can do that by clicking the link to file and then browse out on your computer as to where that picture is stored. We're not going to put in a picture for our protein bars, so we're going to go ahead and leave that one blank. You're going to choose the unit of measure. Now, I might purchase these in one unit of measure and sell them in another. For example, I might go ahead and purchase them in a case, and that case might have 24 items in it, and then I might sell them as each. Okay, so this is actually my my selling unit of measure here, and my suggested price on these is that the manufacturer says that our suggested price should be $2.75, and our unit cost is $1.13. Okay, so we're going to go ahead then and move over to the accounts tab. Okay, now over here you can see that some of the accounts have defaulted from my sales group, that my sales and my returns and allowances will always default from the sales group if you've selected the sales group. The cost of goods, though, you can actually have it default from either the sales group or from the inventory account. Okay, so if I edit my sales group once again, oh, I'm sorry, that's not my sales group, that's my sales account. I didn't want to edit that. But if you noticed back when we edited the sales group back on the general tab, there was a cost of goods account there, and that's what pulled it in over here. But as I select the inventory account that this is going to be to, if I right click on the inventory account and edit the inventory account, you see here on the detailed tab, there's another place to enter in the cost of goods account. In this case, they happen to be the same account, but in some cases they might be different. And you get to determine which one goes ahead and fills in the cost of goods account. Okay, and that's done by a preference. So underneath File and Preferences, I'm going to bring that preference screen over to there. So I'm going to go ahead and select items. I'm going to go ahead and select customer invoices, and I'm going to choose cost of goods. And over here on the database tab, I get to go ahead and tell it whether the cost of goods account is going to be assigned from the sales group or from the inventory GL account. Okay. All right, and then the other accounts for adjustments and purchase price variance also filled in from the inventory account. So those went ahead and filled in from that. Okay, the next step is going ahead and choosing my lotted and serialized definition. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. I'm going to choose my protein bars lotted item definition. And it can now let me go ahead and set up some different lots. So I could go ahead and set up some different lots. If I have different lots on hand right now, I could go ahead and put in the lot numbers, their expiration date, and flavor. When I go ahead and purchase these items, it's going to ask me for that information too. Okay, so over here then, down on the units of measure, we have the ability to go ahead and put in our units of measure. So we get to define what our default purchase unit of measure is, our stocking unit of measure, and our selling unit of measure. In this case of the protein bars, my unit of measure is actually going to be a case of them. Okay, and we purchase those by the case, so that winds up being my default stocking unit of measure, my default purchase unit of measure, and my default selling unit of measure, though, is the each still. Okay, I can put in what the base price for each one of these is. So the base price for this is $2.25, I think we said it was. And the base price for a case is, okay, is the $27. And now we have to put in a conversion. So there are 24 eaches in one case of our stocking unit of measure. Okay, so there's 24 of those in one case. Okay. And so that way the system can do the conversion. Okay, pricing is going to be based off of your default selling unit of measure. Okay, and you get to choose from different pricing methods. Okay, so you can choose from several different pricing methods. You can also go ahead and choose from different price matrices that you've set up. So we've got two default pricing methods. You've got fixed pricing with no quantity breaks and fixed pricing with quantity breaks. And then everything else could be a different pricing matrix that you may have set up. There is a separate video on setting up different pricing matrices. So you want to explore that video for information about those different pricing matrices. I'm going to go ahead and choose fixed pricing with no quantity breaks on mine. And we're going to go ahead and put in what our fixed pricing is on this. So for our bronze level customers, we're going to charge them $2.25 a bar. For our gold level customers, we're going to charge them $2.23 a bar, and we're going to go ahead and allow our platinum customers to get it for $2.20 a bar. Okay. Over here on the purchase information, and actually if I go back to the pricing tab, I should say that the number of price levels that I have here is something that is selectable by you. So I've chosen to have 3 different price levels, and this is what I've named them. That is a preference that you get to select if you go to File and Preferences. And once again, I'm going to have to drag the Preferences screen over to this screen. If you go ahead and choose Items, you'll have an option for price levels. And you can see here on the Database tab that I've chosen to have 3 price levels, and these are the names that I gave them. So you can choose whatever number of price levels you have. And then you can give them a name, or you could allow it to default the price level name in. It'll usually say like price level 1, price level 2, price level 3, just something generic like that. So you can accept that name, or you can rename them like I have to something like bronze, gold, platinum. Okay, underneath purchase information, of course, each one of your customers are going to be assigned one of those price levels, so that's how it's going to know which price to charge that customer. Okay, underneath purchase information, we have the ability to go ahead and tell the system by different storage locations where those are going to go, where those could possibly be located, and then what the minimum quantity, maximum quantity are for those in a normal order quantity. That's going to be helpful for your purchasing department. And then, of course, what the standard cost of that is. Now, the last cost of the item can come in from your transactions. So as you purchase items, that last cost will be updated there. And then down here at the bottom, you have the ability to go ahead and choose who the vendor is that you purchase that item from. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new vendor here because I don't have that vendor set up. I'm going to call this Dynamic Foods Incorporated. Okay, and then of course I would go ahead and put in the vendor's address and information like that. I'm going to come back later and update that information. I'm just going to choose their name right now. I could go ahead and put in what the vendor part number is, the lead time, and the minimum order quantity. So I can go ahead and put in, you know, what their lead time is, the minimum order quantity. And if they're the preferred vendor, I can mark them as the preferred vendor. If I have other vendors that I also purchase this item from, I can list them there, and they can be used as an alternate vendor if this vendor is not available or doesn't have the item available. On the other information tab is where you can go ahead and enter any other information that has been set up to enter in about this item. You can go ahead and create some custom fields that you want to track about your inventory items. To set up those custom fields, you would go to File and Preferences, and once again, I'll bring that over to this screen and choose Items, and then Item Custom Fields. And you can see here on the Database tab where you can go ahead and set up to 5 custom fields for an inventory item, and then tell the system whether they're used and whether they're required. Otherwise, that custom field screen will be blank. Okay, so you can give them a name. You don't have to call it custom field. You could actually give the custom field a specific name. Okay, and then at the bottom down here is a place where you can identify from other inventory items that have already been set up. You can identify something that might be a replacement item for this. So if this item is out of stock, you could have it go ahead and bring up a list of suggested alternatives and go ahead and even have it make a sound when that item is out of stock. So you could go ahead and select those alternatives here. And then underneath File and Preferences, again, if I go ahead and come back here to go to Customer Invoices, on the insufficient quantities option here underneath customer invoices, you can set the system to display a list of suggested alternatives when you go to sell an item and there's not enough in stock of that item. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save on that, and that will be for items that you've gone ahead and set up a substitute item for. I don't have any substitute items for this item, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and that concludes the setup of lotted items.